Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto, and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of patrons, I'm going to do a very huge, massive, enormous shout out to, first and foremost, my 3 brand new patrons that I've got in the last 24 hours. So, Numeto, hopefully I'll say that better each time, M, Iron26, Eric Troche, Endless, Flat Earth Sage, Goldie McKiernan, Phoenix Rising 86, Retro Bill, More Books, Cannabear, Fiber Oats, Bogey, Michael Kahn, Rob H, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Will Brax, Mel B Styles, Troy Shuker, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Neo the One, Rob W, Open Minded, Reese Pound, Del West Watson, Maria Neelands, Unbelievable Productions, Blue Ridge Ranger, The Real Gabster, Liam Nodrick Jr., Abraham Mohammed, Adrian Quintana, Skeptic 936, Life is Short, Texas Mike, and David Wayne Foster. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Is my sound any better with this headset?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, this is the one with only one headphone working. The right ear, that's it.
I think I'm pretty quiet for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why I'm so quiet. Am I
Sound
quiet?
check.
Do I seem quiet to you guys in there?
No, you sound fine to me.
Oh, okay. Just seems to be coming in at a really low level in OBS. Oh well. I guess they'll tell me in the live stream if it sounds low.
I can hear you just fine.
Okay, well then I guess it's okay.
Anybody else here?
Yeah.
Somebody in Discord, there's Endless.
Yeah. You seem to have the same volume level, so. Right. Are you still using Discord or Gilded now?
Gilded. Did I already make a slip of the tongue? I'm just not quite set up. Everything went wrong this morning, so everything's not quite functioning properly. I'm tempted to turn me up. I can just see my levels being really, really low. Heck. Is that any better? Am I any clearer now than I was before?
Just a bit louder, but the same clarity.
A little.
I'll go with that and see how it goes. If they say in the live stream that I'm quieter than everyone else, then I'll make another adjustment. Okay, let's get going. Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live, and there's also a PayPal, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. Now, we are joined by Chocolate Saying, joining right in the middle of my intro, 10th Man, Neil, Arwin, and one person in Gilded. No, two people in Gilded. So welcome, one and all.
Nathan.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning. Nathan, you want to switch rooms
morning.
Say
to
again,
another room?
Righteous?
'Cause I need you to switch rooms. 'Cause we're kind of moving things over. Everybody's in the other room waiting for you.
Okay.
So on the very left, instead of the Nathan group with your icon on it, go up more to like the science versus pseudoscience icon. Click on that, and you'll find another live stream room there.
What?
Eh,
Live stream. I don't know what
It's
I'm
in
doing.
the it's
I don't know.
server home.
Is this
called
not
server
is this
home.
not where we joined yesterday?
Yeah, it is, but we were supposed to have this room hidden because we wanted to make it more simpler for viewers to join, and we wanted to make you in the home server home lobby section, right?
Okay. So I've got channels, general, join, leave, live stream, and after show. That's all I can see. Or
Yeah,
members.
there's like a there's you got to go left more. How do you get that? You get that by clicking.
Got members, server home.
Yeah, server home. Click on that. Click on server home.
Okay. And then
And
in
then scroll
here,
down to
Nathan's live show.
Yeah.
Check. Can you hear me in Gilded?
Yeah, we hear you.
Brilliant. Can you hear me in the live show, in the live stream chat? I don't normally do this. I'm normally pretty slick, but I'm having so many issues at the moment. Go on, whoever that was. I'm asking the live stream chat. We will start a proper in a minute. I know this has been, my God, 4 minutes of absolutely awful beginning to the show. But nevertheless, can you hear me okay? Yes, Scott says he can. Great. Let's do a proper introduction. Welcome, one and all.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hey, good to be here.
Hey, good afternoon. Good morning.
Right, let's make out like that last 3 minutes didn't happen. Any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge horizon, formerly known as the curve of the Earth?
It's just like the last 3 minutes. It never was there.
I was going to say something like that too.
Black Swan.
They still tell stories about it in the old fairy tale books. You know, where boats were going over a supposed curve and being the supposed curve hiding boats and buildings in the distance. But I don't know. Past a couple of years, we've been told that nobody claims that. So I don't know.
But they're still
Like-
talking about boats going over the horizon, Chocolate.
So that's weird. So I guess if you talk about it, you got to say nobody claims it. But if you just read it in the book, it's okay.
Well, somebody have the
checks
rebuttal
out.
from Gilded. I don't know who that was. Was it Jorge?
Yeah, that's correct. Black Swan.
It's game over, man.
Since 2020, it's been game over.
1st Jan 2020. It's been a long time. What is it, coming up on 3 years? Yeah, there is no Earth
No.
curve. There is no physical geometric limitation to your view.
Wait, Nathan. Your premise starts with if the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles? Nah, that's a straw man.
What? That's the claim. The claim is that the Earth's a sphere with a radius of 3959. You're telling me that the claim's a straw man? Yeah, well, I'd agree with that. It's nonsense.
Yeah, I'll have that.
Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety?
Well, if there's no Earth curve, and there isn't, you don't have a globe, what's the purpose for axial rotation?
I was just listening again to Neil deGrasse reiterating his wonderful story of how he watched a football game, saw football hit the upright and, go into the field goal, and team won because of Coriolis and caused by the rotation of the Earth.
So Earth rotated underneath the football.
Oh yes.
That would
You,
mean
you
Earth
want the
rotated
you
underneath
want the
hot air
audio
balloons.
clip?
Sorry, go on.
Do you want the audio clip? It's a newer one besides the one that was like a few years ago. He reiterated the story because I guess it was so wonderful. So I could post that clip real quick. if you
Yeah,
want.
let's have it. Why not?
So are
Okay,
you
give me a
saying
second.
that in the official NFL stats, the field goal kicker has to have an assist from the earth?
No, he's saying that Neil deGrasse Tyson claimed that the ball drifted through the goal because Earth rotated under the ball. That's Neil deGrasse Tyson's claim. And we'll get to how his claim is wrong and disproven in a moment, but we'll buy Chocolate a little bit of time. Hopefully say hello to John, who's been getting in and out. Or not, but we'll see when the clip comes. But if the claim of Neil deGrasse Tyson, which is Earth turns underneath the football so that you see it apparently curve through the goal, well, if that's the case, then Earth's rotating under the ball, as Neil deGrasse Tyson suggests. But that would shorten flight times. If Earth's rotating underneath the ball for us to observe Coriolis effect, and the only way you can observe Coriolis effect is if you are rotating under that ball or anything that's not attached to the claim to be turning reference frame. In this case, Neil deGrasse Tyson's claiming Earth's a turning reference frame, with you on it looking at things drift because they're not attached to it. That's called Coriolis effect. But that would mean we'd look at aeroplanes and see them seem to drift because we're turning beneath them. And that would shorten flight times. The consequence of us turning beneath an aeroplane is that its flight time is shortened when travelling west. And that simply doesn't happen.
Yeah, but Nathan, the football, it doesn't travel like an airplane. So there's considerations.
There's no considerations because the effect that's being described is only observable and describable from the turning reference frame. So the fact that the projectile in any instance is different is irrelevant. It doesn't matter if it's a tree that you're observing dangling from something, or a plane, or a ball. So long as you've got the effect, that would be Coriolis. That effect is you turning beneath things and seeing them seem to drift. Can you pop yourselves on mute in Gilded if you're not talking, please?
The clip is in Master D. Hopefully.
Or whatever is the hike with the kick, they had to make a 55-yard field goal. And if they make it, it's for the win. If they don't, the game continues. They could win it on this kick. So I'm watching this, and the kick, it goes up, and it tumbles. This is where no one breathes, okay, in the stadium. Nobody breathes. And you see the ball tumble, and it's tumbling, and there it goes. And it hits the left upright and careens in for the score. And the Cincinnati Bengals win. And I said, wait a minute, hold on. And I did a fast calculation. It was airborne for like 3.5 seconds, something like that. I did the math. I checked the orientation of the stadium. The stadium is oriented north-south. And I said, oh my gosh. The Cincinnati Bengals for the win field goal kick was aided by a 1/3 of an inch deflection to the right.
Yeah.
Caused by the rotation of the earth. People lost their minds. I tweeted it.
God.
Yeah,
That
they
is such
lost their
bullshit.
mind.
One time.
Sure.
Guys in Gilded, please can you locally mute? Which you're not. None of you are talking, so I want to see everyone on mute. Yeah, nobody's listening to me in Gilded.
Some folks are on push to talk if they're on phone, so they should be
Okay.
good.
I can just see the line dancing around, which means that there's audio coming through from it. But anyway, we'll figure that out another time. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Wait, man, no comment on that, Neil deGrasse?
Well, no, we've already covered it before it was played. He's claiming Earth turns underneath the ball to cause the field goal. That's Coriolis effect. It's a fairly commonly known globe claim that Earth is claimed to have Coriolis effect. In fact, most people think it's synonymous with a globe claim. It isn't. It's the claim that you've got a turning reference frame and you're observing things that aren't on the turning reference frame being observed by you on the turning reference frame to seem to drift. That's Coriolis effect. So he's suggesting that we see the ball seem to drift because we turn beneath it. Coriolis effect, as the globe claims. Well, that would shorten flight times when travelling west.
Right, but he claimed north-south only. Why is he claiming north-south only?
Makes no difference what he's claiming. He's claiming Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect is only observable if you turn beneath. The prerequisite requirements are a non-inertial turning reference frame and an inertial reference frame to observe a projectile travelling in a straight line and seeming to curve because you turn beneath it. That is Coriolis effect. Now, if he's going to add to Coriolis effect and say it's only observable north-south, well then fine, show me a ball tossed north-south over a roundabout that doesn't seem to drift as I turn beneath it. He just doesn't understand Coriolis effect. Coriolis effect isn't somehow dependent on the direction of travel of the projectile, merely that you're turning beneath it. So if his assertion in that regard is true, it would be true to say that if I toss a ball over the top of a roundabout in a north-south direction, I won't see it curve, or I will see it. It makes no difference which direction the ball's travelling, because the requirement for Coriolis is that you turn beneath it, not what direction it travels in.
The only comment I'll really give on this is that, since he originally had this story out, right? There have been a lot of Globers that have told us, we simply don't understand what he means. What he's saying is not correct, and you would think, that clip came out a long time ago. And the one that I just had you play was like a few days ago. So you would have thought if maybe he made a mistake or there was something wrong with his statement, maybe he would have cleaned it up or maybe just restated it in a better way so that, the normies can understand, because that's his purpose, right? He's a science communicator. All these Star Talk videos are for him to teach the normies of the world how the earth works, right? So you would have thought he would have cleaned that up. But apparently he just reiterated the same exact story that he did before. So when people like, I don't know, what was this guy's name? Danny Faulkner tells us, oh, we simply don't understand. He was wrong and it's much more complicated. Well, you would have thought Mr. Science Communicator, the tutelage under Carl Sagan, would have been able to come up with a better way to explain it, but I guess not.
Are we good to move on to the sun now, 10th?
No. One more comment here. Well, Danny Faulkner is in astronomy. What's Neil deGrasse Tyson's background in education?
Is he like a astrophysicist?
Yeah, indeed. And so you've got a guy who teaches astronomy trying to correct an astrophysicist. Sounds more like a contradiction is there, and they're trying to paddle backwards to get onto some solid ground that doesn't exist for their argument.
Also, there was some doublespeak in the video, how he says this was the Coriolis force that was causing this. But at the beginning of the video, clearly stated that the Coriolis force isn't actually a force. It's a fictitious force. So, yeah, that was some doublespeak. But that's standard for Neil deGrasse.
Yeah, but this is the same as the astrophysicist that says that doesn't know what gravity is. I guess he didn't got the memo that it's the bending of space-time.
What it is? Well, come on, Chocolate, give it to us.
As far as what it is, we don't know.
Okay. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Sun is over here.
No, but we found out yesterday you don't get sunburned from it.
When I say it's over here, Arwen's supposed to say it's over there. Where the hell's Arwen?
You're going to need R for that.
Yeah, you will need R for that. Any evidence of the R value, Earth radius?
Question number one. The Black Swan debunked it in 2020.
Which one? Which are the claim or the straw man? Oh wait, they're the same thing. My bad.
One more time, one deck.
Just saying there is evidence of the R value, but it all comes from a flat baseline and it's measuring elevation angles.
Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Not scientific, no.
Wouldn't that require observing it first?
Yeah.
Well, do we observe it in nature, gravity, the way they claim what it is?
No.
All right. So
And-
no hypothesis, no scientific method can be applied to it.
I was coming to that. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Well, not maybe some of them could look at a star and observe something, but then they're stuck after that. They can't go manipulate and the independent variable. They can't go do something to the star to see if that's the reason why it's doing what it's doing. So some of them, you don't even get to the first step.
I thought that all of that has been debunked by Einstein in 1915. Gravity not being a force. If gravity is not a force, the whole model implodes. You don't have centers of mass on the stars or anything like that.
Well, I think the question was about a hypothesis. Can they even come up with one?
Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics, or ether belief?
No. That's all we're asking for, aren't we?
Yeah.
It's just a belief, like you say.
In the case of the ether, is worse than that because there's nothing to observe.
Any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth?
Sounds like ether to me.
Molten iron core sounds like ether. I don't know about that.
It sounds to me like the begging the question of the electromagnetism, the perpetual motion necessary for that.
Any evidence you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon?
This is the easiest one for everyone to understand, I think.
Yeah, I like the...
I think that's the best.
Go on.
Without the container, there can be no pressure.
Beautiful words said by a baller.
I was at a get-together or birthday party for a friend and started talking to this one guest in her 70s. And I don't know how it got to it, but it got to all the lies and from the government. And then from there, I transitioned somehow to how they lied to us about the nature of our reality. And she was nodding her head, agreeing that that happens. And then I said, for example, look up. And she looked up. It was sky, some clouds. We're in San Diego. You could see the harbor from this house. And I said, what is that up there? It goes, the sky. And I go, it's gas pressure. It's the air we breathe, right? She goes, yeah. And I go, now, do you believe it when NASA says that we're on a ball with gas pressure next to a vacuum? How's the gas pressure staying on Earth without a container? And the pause and the eyes rolling back into her head were epic. She goes, you're right. So it was pretty cool just to leave it there.
We covered all the housekeeping questions. Is that all of them? I feel like I've missed one.
Have you done elevation?
Ah, yes. Any evidence of an elevation angle measurement from a curved baseline?
No, I'm currently
Elevation.
offering $500
Hold
if
on,
you
are we
can
getting
provide
feedback?
that information.
We're getting feedback from Gilded. Say that again one day.
Might be me, sorry. I'm saying no, I've been offering money for people who can demonstrate an elevation angle with a curved baseline from any of the navigation books, but no one's been successful as yet.
Bummer. I think that does conclude the housekeeping, though.
Wasn't the McToon's challenge riddled with disclaimers when Adam read it? And one of them was, you can't use celestial navigation books because they belong to the globe.
So what if we use globe-believing celestial navigation books to show how, like on screen right now, you can only acquire an elevation angle measurement off a flat baseline? Then that's not allowed.
The claim was these are our books, meaning the globes, and we can't use those things. And what he just said is that he'll offer money if you can use any of those books to prove an elevation angle with a curved baseline. Well, wait a minute. No wonder they don't want us to use their books, because they don't have a curved baseline. They have a tangent plane, or it's coming from the equatorial plane, but it's never coming from a curved surface. No wonder they don't want us to go to their books. Huh?
Yeah.
So I've been quite stressed out over the last couple of days. Well, ever since I was claimed to be a scammer by Jeranism on his live show. Obviously, that's quite distressful, or distressing, I should say. As I explained to Jeran in a Skype message, I've got a livelihood that I've built up over the last 7 years on YouTube, and obviously it's highly detrimental to be claimed to be a scammer. That's not going to do you any favors. I said it was disgusting, etc., etc. However, 10th Man disagreed and said, no, this is the best thing that could possibly happen. You will gain more support for this. I'm like, well, maybe that'll be the case. Well, overnight I gained 3 Patreons. So, yeah, it does seem to be the case that literally in the last 24 hours I've gained a reasonable amount more support than I didn't have before. So, 10th, I don't know what to say. I did send you the message saying that this morning.
No, I got it. I got it. It was obvious to me, because when you can create a contrast on a position, then there's no more muddy waters, so to speak. Not a pun on yesterday, but okay, so that's what they teach there, and this is what they teach here. I'm going to go here, and this is what was good about it. The nonsense that was coming out of Jaron about proof. And then later, him contradicting himself by saying when he saw Zach do the experiment, he changed his mind because it proved something. That alone separated what we do, what they do. And it's an implication on them, not you. So I think that contrast was needed, and finally it came.
Right, and there's plenty of useful education in this. So that's exactly what I'll be using, the dissection of the claims from Jeran. I mean, it's not my fault that it's been Jeran that's put out this magic trick and utilised the words of science like experiment incorrectly. That's not my fault. But he will be used as a teaching tool to anybody who's watching. It'll be a series, Educating Jeranism. Now, this didn't have to be the case. I approached Jeran personally and said, I want a retraction. You better damn well give me one. And he hasn't. So, no worries. I'll use you as a teaching tool, and I'll contrast you with people who do the exact same thing on the globe, and people who do the exact same thing you've claimed I'm a scammer for on the flat earth side. I've already done that, so you can check this out. It's on a shorts video where I use what Jeran has claimed, that would be I'm a scammer for claiming that science proves things, and then got Bob's claims of science proving ether right next to them. So it'd be interesting to see if Jeran doubles down on science not proving anything, so I can put that next to Bob saying science proves ether again. So it does seem like Jeran's a bit between a rock and a hard place, because if he doubles down on his claim against me, he's throwing every one of his compadres who have said science proves the ether under the bus and claiming they're scammers. And that's what I'll put in the title. So beware if you're out there and you're associated with Jeran and you've been saying you've got science for things you haven't, because he's about to call you out as a scammer when I put his words next to you saying you've got some science you haven't. Jeran will be telling you all how big a scammer you are, starting with Bob Nodell. Bob Nodell explicitly stated that science had proved the ether. Proved, he said, Jeran, proved. Well, obviously he's a scammer, isn't he, Jeran? That's why your shorts video's got you calling Bob Nodell a scammer based on the standards you've called me a scammer with. Totally unreasonable. And that will continue until I get a retraction out of Jeran. So a few people have contacted me and said, what's with this war that's going on between you and Jeran? I've said, well, I've been doing what I do. We do what we do on Flat Earth. We've proactively been contacted by Witsit, who's put his crappy, non-scientific claims in front of us, and we've done what we do. We've pulled them apart. Now we're being called scammers. Why? Well, when it was the ball being pulled apart by their lack of scientific evidence, it was cheered. Oh, right, but then there's similar people in Flat Earth who've realised there's a powerful magic trick of using the words of science to grease the skids of their just-so stories, and they better damn well shut down the people who point out that they're using a magic trick. That would be me. Of course, that backfires pretty damn quick when there's plenty of charlatans who are claiming science proves things. From your own side on your own show, Jeran, that would be Globebusters, Bob Nodell specifically, who specifically says science proves ether. Well, he's obviously a scammer if he's saying it over and over again, Jeran, as you quite rightly point out. Now, I think you better damn well get on with that retraction, you little scumbag.
Actually, he said for hundreds of years. Hundreds of years.
Hundreds of years of proof, according to Bob, Jeran. Well, if he's repeating that, he's a scammer by your standards, Jeran. The standards you tarred me with? Yeah, well, they apply to Bob when he says there's proof from science about ether. He's a scammer, isn't he, Jeran? You know he's a scammer because he's saying it over and over again. And by Jeran's standards, Bob is a scammer. Ain't that right, Jeran? Because he's saying science proves. I mean, what is he, a moron? Does Bob think science proves his ether? Does he not know that science doesn't prove it? It's not science, by the way. Bob hasn't got any science. I've told him so. And I've told you too, Jeran. But you want to declare that science doesn't prove anything incorrectly and label me a scammer? I'll put your words of science not proving anything next to all the claims Bob's made that it does. Specifically ether. Very, very embarrassing for you both, you pair of clowns. And it'll continue until I get a retraction. A retraction that I'm a scammer for declaring correctly so that science is empirical and proves things. I'm not going to be labelled a scammer for that. I'm going to indefinitely demand a retraction and humiliate Bob and Jeran for their double-speak contradictions until I get one. Would you like to hear it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I would.
I'll dig that out if you can talk amongst yourselves for a moment.
Yeah, it's a. I mean, to come and say there's no proof and there could be other factors, and then to go to something Zach did and said that was proof enough for him. I don't know what to say to that. It's crazy.
It's a doublespeak. You say you're a doublespeak. Double-speaking lying sack of crap.
You have to just, if you're going to say that kind of stuff, you have to say reality doesn't exist. You can't prove anything. You have to go there.
Experiments prove that the ether is actually there.
Right? That's how you know you're being scammed. So back when Nathan Oakley kept saying things like science proves this, science proves, I took him and said, Nathan, you know science doesn't prove anything, right?
Is that it also confirms the existence of what science has known for hundreds of years, and that is the existence of the ether.
I took him and said, Nathan, you know science doesn't prove anything, right?
What science has known,
you know science doesn't prove anything, right? Right? That's how you know you're being scammed.
Experiments prove that the ether.
You know science doesn't prove anything, right?
Yeah, I was talking to Jeran about Bob Nodell claiming science for the ether, and Jeran turned around to me and he says, you know what, Nathan? Science doesn't prove anything. That's how you know you're being scammed. And I said, yeah, Jaron. That's how we know we're being scammed by Bob Nodell when he parrots his claims of science proving his ether. Has he got a hypothesis? No, he's not got science. But that is how you know. And it's been stamped, approved by Jaron. That's how you know Bob's scamming you. Isn't that right, Jaron? Yeah, when he keeps parroting this nonsense that's been proven wrong again and again, that he has got his science that he keeps babbling on about, then you know damn well he's a scammer, don't you, Jaron? That's how you know Bob Nodell is a scammer. I want that retraction. You better hurry up about it, Jaron, because I'm going to be putting your words next to any of the other clowns that use science incorrectly. And they're not going to be happy with you calling them a scammer like you're calling Bob a scammer.
You actually think you're going to get one?
I don't care. The longer he doesn't retract his words that I'm a scammer for declaring correctly that science is an empirical method that proves your outcome, because it can't do anything else, until he retracts that I'm a scammer for saying that, I'll just put his words out there as a series called Educating Jeranism. That's what I'll do. We've got plenty. I've got about 3 hours of footage to trim into clips. I can do it for weeks until he retracts his crap. Till then, he'll be held up as the poster child of the moronic idiocy of a lack of knowledge of science. That's what he'll be. And in the meantime, he'll be juxtaposed with people like Bob saying they've got proof in the form of science. Bob's being called quite directly a scammer for saying that by Jaron. Now, in reality, Jaron's calling me a scammer for saying that. But as Bob says it too, I'll just put Bob's words next to Jaron's, and fact, Jaron's calling Bob a scammer. Because Bob's saying science proves his ether. Well, no, if he keeps saying that, according to Jaron, he's a scammer. So I'll keep it up until I get my retraction. Because until he gives it, the standards is laid down, calling me a scammer, make Bob Nodell a scammer, don't they, Jaron?
Tell you what, I used to say that the ballers and anti-flat earthers don't think things through. I could see that these guys don't either. You got to be foolish to come against Nathan Oakley and flat earth debate. You're going to hurt yourself.
But Jaron told me it wouldn't work out well for me if I, defended myself against his claims that I'm a scammer? Oh, your threats that it won't work out for me aren't working out well for you, Jaron. That's what's actually occurring here. Yeah? No, I'm picking up Patreons and Super Chats as a result of putting your name in. You said, oh, yeah, you'll get loads of publicity from putting my name in. Yeah, I will. Educating Jeranism will show the world what science really is based on your ignorance. And simultaneously show how Bob's a scammer when he lies about having the empirical method. So, no worries. Won't work out well for me. Yeah, it will. I assure you, Jaron. Of course, you could just make a retraction because you were wrong, and everybody here knows it. They know you were wrong, and that in saying science doesn't prove, something that Bob says it does, prove the ether, that is, yeah, your outrageous assertion requires a retraction because you are wrong. Shout out to Godzilla37, who says, quit scamming me out of my money. And then he says, stop it, with super chats. Thank you very much for the super chats.
I would say the one correction to what Neil just said is that they're not really coming up against us. That in this current moment, they're coming up against each other. Because if you got two guys on the same side saying, one of them saying there's science for ether or science for anything, and then there's the other guy saying science doesn't prove anything, well, then that's a problem that they got to deal with between themselves.
Oh, no, that's not all he says.
No.
That's not all he says. He doesn't just say there's no science, it's not proof. He says if you keep saying it when it's been pointed out otherwise. Yeah, it has. It's been pointed out to Bob 4 years ago, and he's still saying it, isn't he, Jaron? Therefore a scammer, if he keeps repeating that shite that I've corrected for him. And I'll trim out bits of me correcting it to Bob personally and put them next to you saying how big a scammer he is when he disagrees with the empirical method, but then simultaneously says he's got science. This is going to be an absolute humiliation for you and Bob, Jaron. Of course, you could just make it a retraction based on your incorrect assertion that science doesn't prove things and that water can't be declared to boil at 100 degrees. Ergo, I'm a scammer? No, Jaron. No, you'll find that people will rally behind things that are actually truthful as opposed to your parlour tricks. Now, I've also got a video saved that Jaron sent me of him making a little piece of cigarette paper levitate, a magic trick he did. Do you remember sending me that 5 years ago, Jaron? Yeah, that'll get you used too. I asked Jaron how a parlour trick was done, a magic trick, and he showed me how the magic trick was done by levitating a little bit of cigarette paper. Remember that, Jaron? Now let me get it straight. That little cigarette paper that you sent me on that little video clip, that sounds very similar to this Van de Graaff generator moving a bit of paper. I wonder how that'll look when I compare those two with you laughing about how magic tricks with paper dancing isn't proof of anything. And then I'll play you saying that you've got a little bit of paper moving? I'm going to rip your arsehole through your throat, Jaron. Won't work out well for me. I don't think so, sunshine. I've got lots of people calling me a scammer, Jaron, in my super chats. You know, they seem to be rallying behind me with money. Far from not working out well for me, people are giving me money to humiliate you, you ignorant little twat. In case you can't tell, I am absolutely furious that Jaron has claimed I'm a scammer for saying science proves. I mean, I'm livid. Typically, when I say I'm livid, it's mostly for dramatic effect, mostly to just labour the point that I'm putting to a baller, or emphasise the win. This isn't that. This is me genuinely furious with Jaron. I could throttle him. I am livid with him. How dare he threaten my livelihood? How dare you threaten what I've built upon this channel based on truth in flat earth because you're wrong about something? You deserve punishing, Jaron. That's what I was trying to illustrate you through my furious frustration when I was talking with you. Yeah? You should be punished for this. Yeah, in case you can't tell.
Especially if it's just like an ego thing. I mean, like he said we're scammers because we were laughing at something he said. Well, does that automatically make us scammers? Maybe it makes us assholes for laughing at you, and if your ego is hurt by that, okay. But that doesn't make us automatically a scammer, especially if you're saying that because we say science proves things. Well, that's what it does. It's a method, right? But then you got your man, Bob, saying the same thing. So it's like, maybe y'all should get together and work that out. Because this is starting to sound kind of silly.
No, it's fine by me. Far more effective for me to get Jaron pointing out how big a scammer Bob is when he lies about having science. No worries. I'll do that indefinitely. It's far more effective. Me telling Bob subtly and kindly that the knife cuts both ways, and if you haven't got empiricism behind your claim of an experiment, it's going to end badly because I'm pulling apart Globalize with the exact same method. Well, if you're doing that, and you've got Jaron saying, well, that makes you a scammer, if you say the word science, and you keep saying it when it's obviously a lie, no worries, that's very useful for me. Me saying it didn't work, did it, Jaron? Maybe you saying how big a scammer Bob is when he lies about science, maybe that'll have more impact. Certainly earning me more money, as it looks like.
Nathan, this is not just science doesn't prove things. It's the whole idea of what the word proof, and evidence is. I made 3 memes in Master D just to have a little fun at it. You show them.
I've got your first slide up.
Yeah, go ahead. I can't see them on my phone.
Jaron said, I can't blame the storm and high surf because there might be other factors. No proof at all. Why did I believe Jaron when he said nothing can be proven? Very good. Jaron said, it isn't enough proof, Mom. Very good.
That's the contrast. That's the silliness. I mean, ballers come up with better stuff.
One of his other criticisms was it's unreasonable to say this is embarrassing. So let me just take a little straw poll. Is it embarrassing to declare to an audience that you, quote, cannot say water boils at 100 degrees C, end quote, Jeranism? You cannot say that. Is that embarrassing, you fucking clown, Jeran? Yeah, I think it is. That's an embarrassment. You, Jeran, saying that I can't say water boils at 100 degrees, not proof of anything, that's truly humiliating to me, to be stood next to you as a flat earther. I am ashamed to be associated with you making statements like that, Jeran. It is truly embarrassing. Do you not like that? Maybe repeat it. Maybe double down and tell people again. Maybe demand that they can't say water boils at 100 degrees. It's not proof of anything. You tell them, Jeran. Make those demands. Lay down what they can and can't say to them. Piece of shit.
I mean, I feel like in all honesty, we're kind of going backwards here. And I completely disagree with what Jeran said. I feel like that's exactly what science is for, is to prove things. And to say it doesn't prove things is we're going backwards now.
Who's that?
Very wise person. This is going backwards. And the few people who've got in touch with me and gone, why are you at war? Automatic assumption that I've caused this, which isn't unreasonable. I'm a fairly antagonistic guy, but generally reactive. And that's why I explained to the few people who had contacted me why this is happening. Why is this happening, Nathan? Well, because I run a public show, and ether believers can come and punt their views on the nature of Earth here. I invite it daily. But when they do and they get taken apart, they really don't like it. And as a result, they've proactively attacked me as a scammer. Why? Because the standards we've used for the last 4 years to take apart globe lies are coincidentally the same exact method of lies that are being used by fellow flat earthers. And they really don't like us messing with that magic trick. They'd prefer we didn't point out that their version of quote-unquote experiment isn't a hypothesis test and doesn't have a hypothesis. It'd be better if we just, as Bob's going around saying, end FED. What? End the debate about flat earth because you're wrong about something? What, destroy my career and livelihood I've built up on YouTube because you're lying about having science? That seems very unreasonable. Let's see who everyone gets behind.
Sounds like they're lining up because there was a show called Fight the Flat Earth. So now we got people supposedly with us on our side, community, saying end flat earth debate. I don't know about that.
No. Craig is in our community like Bob is. Yeah, we're all in the same mucky pool together. Me, Bob, Craig, Simon, Dan, we're all in the same pool. And you can see cats over there scrambling to get out. Hey, conspiracy cats, you trying to get out of the pool? Hey, how's it going? Yeah, you're stuck in here in this sunshine. Yeah, there's no scrambling.
He tried, though.
Can someone tell them to stop peeing in the pool? I
didn't hear that. Say that again, Chocolate.
Someone tell them to stop peeing in the pool then.
Stop peeing in the pool? Without the container, there can be no pressure. End quote, conspiracy cats. Yeah, that sort of thing's not going to work well when you need to have a sky vacuum and a means of getting through the non-barrier, non-container to go to space. I mean, you're obviously debunking space with statements like that. What's that? You'll give away your channels to some idiots that haven't got very much popularity and then feel like you've escaped? Well, I mean, you can feel like that. You're still stuck here with us, though.
Chocolate, just the image in my mind. Now I know where they get their P and S waves.
I mean, even though, the man has left the discussion, beautiful quotes like, without the balloon, there could be no pressure. We'll live on in infamy. So don't worry. We'll keep your memory alive, buddy. Enjoy your life.
Yeah, to all of you out there who think that I've started a war, absolutely not. What has happened is we've done what we do for the last 4 years, but the standard we use has been applied to somebody who came here with claims from the flat earth side. Now, believe me, we'd be chastised as hypocrites if we didn't apply the same standard to everybody, and we do. And when we applied that standard to Witsit Gets It, it didn't work out well for him. Therefore, we need suppressing. We've been reactive, admittedly after encouraging people to state their views on the nature of Earth. Witsit has taken upon himself to proactively come and preach that garbage to us, which was dutifully ripped to shreds. But now we need shutting down. Now we need to end FED. Why? Because that standard that we applied to take apart the globe is suddenly taking apart your nonsense too. That's not my problem.
Well, this has had to have happened because the ballers stopped coming here because the standard you're speaking about took them down and they got no arguments here anymore. So then people in our own camp who are doing the same kind of sophistry, parlor tricks, they attacked you first. They came and said, you are wrong and you're scamming. You didn't put out no video like that against them. All you did was use the same arguments we took down the baller sophistry and you applying it to them. And now they started this so-called war. It's not going to end well for them.
Got an on-topic subject, so let's get back to it. Hillside. I could kiss you, mate. Thank you for the super chat. Hey, can you guys elaborate on the lunar cycles briefly? I'm seeing full moon this morning with the sun in the sky. Isn't this impossible in the heliocentric model? ? Thank you first and foremost for your super chat. Thank you secondly for your question, which is excellent. And the answer is no. That is not impossible in the heliocentric model to have the sun and the moon up at the same time. There are certain exceptions that are impossible. Typically, they get labelled by heliocentrists in the title as being impossible. Like the impossible eclipse, the Selenian, that's impossible. But they declare it because they hide the devastating fact that there's an impossible situation in their model in the title. Like it's, you know, that's the place it does the least damage. So the impossible moon or something like that. What's it called? The Selenian. Where it's
the impossible eclipse.
The impossible. There you go. I got it right the first time. The impossible eclipse. So yeah, there are certain things that are impossible. I had the same assumption when I first got into Flat Earth 7 years ago. In fact, you can still find it on Oakley Cord channel. One of my very first videos is me looking at the sun with the moon up going, this ain't possible. And then somebody showed me that it was. And I was like, all right. Okay, it's possible in the model. Yes. But does anybody want to cover lunar cycles specifically?
The only thing I want to say about it is in the research, they say the moon traverses the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and Capricorn all in 1 month's time, where it takes a whole year for the sun to do that. So that might have a play into it.
Hopefully that was a good enough answer. I don't know if anybody else has got anything to add. Specifically, we're being asked for $10, I might add, if we can speak about lunar cycles briefly. So if anybody knows anything about lunar cycles. I know that we've got a bit of a deception in terms of the Gregorian. Are we on the Gregorian calendar? Is that right? Yes, Nathan, you're right. Oh, well, even if I'm not, somebody's confirmed it. Excellent. Well, the current calendar gives us a month that isn't the same as a lunar month. However, your pay cycle is. Your pay cycle's done on a lunar month. I can't remember who said it, but they're like, millionaires look at astronomy and billionaires look at... I've got this completely ballsed up, haven't I? You know what I mean? The actual lunar cycles, which is the logic of the stars or astrology, would dictate that you've only got 28 days for a lunar cycle, whereas a month or month, if you think about it, gives it a 30 or 31 day or 28/29. It's the right cluster, you know what. So what tallies in our natural calendar would be governed by the moon, had it not been for the fact that the Gregorian calendar took away a month and changed the times. So nobody's referencing what is a natural calendar anymore because it's been so messed with over time. I don't know if anybody else can anything else about that. All I can give you, I'm afraid. That's all I know. Clearly not. Moving on. Thank you very much for the super chat, Hillside. Really appreciate it. Glad we're back on track. obviously it's developed a really good conversation too, which is always nice.
Well, do we have any ballers in the new channel gilding?
The goalie, Puckerell, Peaceful Warrior, George, Endless, D-Goal 76, Conrad, and then we got moderators underneath them. That's it. It's a brand new server though, so it's going to take a while to build up a base of people that want to come in en masse to say nothing. Oh, I'm looking forward to the day we've got 25 people in there saying nothing. Because it does invalidate all the DATRH videos now. Because it's Gilded rather than Discord. So you can have the tumbleweed sound effect from Gilded if he ever makes another one.
He has to make another one. Otherwise, I'll never be legit.
What are you saying? Because you've never been immortalized as a fake character in Glow Birth Dictate?
Yes. Come on. You haven't made it unless you're there.
I'm sure Darth would be pleased to hear that. I didn't know you lent so much credence to his work, but I'm sure he's grateful.
I sent him messages. Said, let's go. Get on the ball here.
That's probably why I stopped. Leave him wanting more. Very wise.
Nathan, do you remember when you first started your show? What was the strongest argument that the ballers brought to you at the very start?
The very start of Flat Earth Debate, the majority argument was all about the curve calculator. Isle of Man.
Okay, now what have we found out about the curve calculator and the Isle of Man since then?
Calculator has been renamed from Earth Curve Calculator to the Begging the Question, Proof of Nothing, Perspective Hijacking Earth Curve Calculator. And it's based on an R value that can no longer be measured because it was derived from a physical geometric sphere edge horizon debunked by the Black Swan in the 1st of January 2020.
So the curve calculator assumed R, but never proved it.
It assumed a physical geometric limitation to your view called Earth curve blocking boats and buildings. We debunked both the value used to claim the horizon is a physical geometric limitation blocking boats and buildings. So therefore, the globe's strongest argument, aka the curve calculator, is no longer and probably will never ever be presented ever again because we've debunked all aspects of it. The value that's used to make the maths R, we debunked because they can't derive an R value from the horizon, the same horizon they claim was physically blocking things, because now they say it's refracted. Ergo, you can't derive the R value in the Al-Biruni method by climbing up a mountain after measuring its height off a flat plane to do trig based on the dip value to the geometric physical limitation to your view, formerly known as Earth curve.
So is that why it starts with a begging the question, if the Earth is a sphere? Can you go over that?
If the Earth is a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, that's the claim of Earth being a sphere with a radius of 3959 miles, by the way. Not a straw man, your claim in the most part. That's what you're actually claiming. But if the Earth was a sphere, as they claim, with a radius of 3959, as they're trying to prove, then every distance to the horizon, that would be the geometric limitation to your view that boats and buildings are claimed to be blocked by, would be no more than 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet as per the Earth curve mathematics. And the distance to the horizon in the Black Swan is beyond those geometric limitations of a globe sphere radius 3959. Therefore, the horizon is not a sphere edge blocking your view at 1.2 times the square root of the observer's height in feet. And Earth is not a sphere with a radius 3959 because you can no longer derive R from the horizon.
Would that be similar, not the same, but similar to someone purposely changing road signage and saying, from where you are to Los Angeles is 300 miles, and then you go 300 miles, and then you see another sign saying, from where you are to Los Angeles is 600 miles? Doesn't exist.
It's more like saying there's something in the distance called the horizon that's the edge of Earth blocking your view. And then when you show that it isn't blocking your view, in fact, it's behind the thing it's supposed to be obscuring, your opponents will tell you that what would you expect? You wouldn't expect to see Earth curve. Nobody's expecting to see physical geometry. The geometric horizon only exists in the maths. And you go, right, so the horizon's not Earth curve then. Only exists in the maths. We wouldn't expect to see it blocking boats and buildings like it says in the maths. Okay, we win. No worries.
Yeah, very good.
Still got a few minutes on this live show. Hopefully the energy level will increase in the after show. We will see. It's me putting everyone on the back foot with my disdain towards Jaren for him claiming I'm a scammer.
No, that's you have to defend yourself when someone comes at you, and you've shown enough evidence that the attack was launched from their side against us because we applied the same logic that we do to ballers when they make sophistry claims and false claims, and they don't like it, so they attacked you, and you got to do what you got to do. I mean, I don't know what to say.
I think I was reasonable. I contacted him first. I said I want a retraction. What was that, 2-3 days ago? Have I got one? Where's my retraction? I'm not a scammer. What do you want?
Well, that was the best move you did by contacting him first, and he didn't respond. So now let it play out.
Oh, he did respond. He told me it wouldn't work out well for me if I'm going to paraphrase. He didn't say this, but it won't work out well for me if I defend myself against your claims I'm a scammer. Oh, well, we'll find out.
Wow.
Go on, whoever that was. I've stopped because you started.
That was Neil saying, wow.
Was that all it was? Did you have anything to add, Neil? Neil?
That's amazing. Neil not talking.
With that, I'm going to say, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Programming streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you are watching this live, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who smashed the super chat, a lot of them today, so thank you very much indeed for that. And of course, another massive thank you to today's Discord and I was about to say Discord, Gilded and G Plus panels for making today's live show possible. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on either Premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.
What a lovely day!
That fast disk wouldn't be able to leave that. And they just wouldn't bite it. And they eventually even strawmanned me at the end that, like, they misinformed you when they demonstrated the heliocentric model in school, when that never even happened in my entire explanation. So
Can I just ask Righteous a quick question if you can hear us? Oh, I don't know if I have to press a special button to talk him in a different room. I also need to move into a different after show room, or maybe I stay where I am. I don't know. I think this Gilded server's a lot more powerful because during that outro, I glanced down at my CPU utilization. It got to like 95%. My God, do I need that new computer? I can't wait to get it. Everything just lagged and slowed down just by playing the outro. Not that you guys care.
What's the update? When do you expect it?
Last update was it'll come tomorrow, but they also said we'll keep you updated, let you know when it's shipped out. It's going out in a big crate, so it's, it's about 70 quid just in shipping because it's being, as I say, put in a shipping crate. But yeah, tomorrow was the last update. I doubt it'll come tomorrow, but we'll see.
Yeah, I could just imagine in the middle of your show tomorrow, the doorbell rings.
That would be nice. It won't be the case that it just goes straight in, though. So what I've got to do is take this computer and that computer down to my local guy and get him to ghost the old hard drive onto the new hard drive. In essence, upgrading this computer to that computer by all of the. So I keep all of my software and all of the games and all of the other crap that's on the hard drives, all the movies are already in that computer, but the operating system, which is Windows 10 on this, has got to be upgraded and ghosted to Windows 11 on that. And I'm not good enough to do that. And I don't trust myself to do it, even if I looked into it. So I'm just going to hand it off to another guy and pay him 50 quid to do it. Same guy that I told you about before, the flat earther in my local computer shop, who I've been using for years and didn't know was a flat earther. Well, yeah, I'll hand it to him and go, please make this into that. And he will. And then I'll plug it in and then it'll hopefully work, which it won't. It'll cause all sorts of headaches for a week or two. But I expect that.
Yeah, I'm packing everything. So I packed my computer. So I'll be on the phone until I get settled again.
I mean, it's gonna be something I can grow into. It's considerably more powerful than I require. I mean, a lot more powerful than I require. But after watching quite a number of computer videos about, getting an upgrade and what the computer can do now, because I don't know, if you don't keep up to date with what the technology can actually do for you, you don't know. Well, now I've looked into what it can do, and I'm like, great, I can expand into this. I'm going to grow into this computer, which is good. The capabilities will be the same as they always ever will for the life that I have it, for the duration of the time that it's here. But the capabilities are beyond what I currently have. Now, just because of the computer breaking a little bit, it's now less than sufficient to run what I've already got. But it's nice to know that I can do other things with it. I can expand out the show in whatever way that happens in the future. And I'm very excited about that. Like with Flatsoid, right? He's just started making loads of live streams, loads of edited videos. Why? Well, because he's got a new computer, and he's all excited about it. And I'll be the same. I'll be very excited to do it, and it'll reinvigorate me. Not that I need to be reinvigorated, especially when you're on the back foot defending yourself, which I am at the moment against one of my own. Bloody hell. Unreal. I can't believe this situation, actually. I didn't really stress this enough in the live show. There's so much I wanted to say, and there was loads of pauses, and you want to be measured in what you say. But I honestly am a bit aghast at this. I cannot quite believe it's happening.
Well, it's
Me
you're in
neither.
you're in the reactive point still, which is normal. It'll settle down, but the shock is still there for all of us that this even happened.
Right. I was like kind of sick when this all happened. I already could feel something was really wrong when Witsit just went constantly rambling after that one show happened, right? But for Jaren to go there, and I still can't believe that he did that. I don't even know why he did that.
Well, I even agreed with Witsit on that show when he was here, when I said, hey, let me give you a question and assume I concede, just for argument's sake, to your claims of ether. What's the purpose? What do I get out of this? What changes? And he basically said free energy. He said, I don't know if you all caught it, but he said at one point, look, the flat Earth is not enough for me. I'm going to look into other things, and I'm just not going to get stuck here on the flat Earth issue. He's basically done that in his mind, and he wants to look into Tesla and the coils and see if he can harness free energy. And I said, well, if you're saying it's not science and your goal is to get free energy, I'm all in.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with counter space and light being a wave, though. I mean,
Yeah, it does.
that's
What does it
electric
change?
ether, right?
Yeah, but what does it change for me if he believes it? Who cares? Let him believe it. I mean, if he gets free energy for us and he could trace it to the real reason he got it, then we'll all know where he got the free energy from. Now, if he wants to believe it's counter space, have at it. What does that got to do with anything? Now, if you want to prove it, that's where we had the back and forth. So he says, look, it's not science. It's not material. I don't want to reify it with magnetism. There's other people misrepresenting it. I'm on my own journey with this. And I respected him for that.
Yeah. Well,
Same
he
here.
started out sensible enough, but then he just went into just strawman, scattergunning. You're misrepresenting. Ugh.
Right. But you get that wrestling match until it calms down. And then if you listen to my synopsis of the situation, How can we blame the guy if he has a belief that he's saying he can't prove? And he said it's not science, and he said it's reification to compare it to magnetism. Well, I didn't have a problem with him anymore. He's not claiming anything.
If he just said like, "Hey, I believe this. I think that there is something here. I don't have evidence for it yet, but it seems sensible to me," and he left it to that, yeah, it would have been a whole different story.
Well, he did leave it at that, and he left. But now Bob and Jaron jump in.
Yeah, well, I still had a problem with his nonsense.
No, but he didn't really leave it like that. He went on like, "You're misrepresenting me." On that, that's not leaving it at that.
Well, when someone says, I'm sorry, if someone says we're misrepresenting them, it might do well to listen to see why he says that, and we did. And then he ended up summarizing it to where we all agreed with his final statement. In fact, he told Brian logic that it is a belief. So it ended well.
But then the next day he came back and did like a whole new hangout complaining about it all. So he didn't actually leave it like that.
All right, I didn't hear
in the
that.
conversation, he rounded it out like that, but he didn't leave it like that.
Well, I didn't hear that show. To me, when I left them, I was fine with it, and I don't really care. Get us free energy. Go after it. Don't get stuck on flat Earth. Go research other things. I can't blame the guy if he wants to do that.
I think it's great. I mean, there's a lot of things to figure out with electricity, and we already know historically that we've been screwed in favor of corporatism, in favor of making a profit. So yeah, there is something to grow into there in that field that could benefit the entirety of humanity.
Yeah, that's fine.
Separate from science and the light-based ether and counter space, right? That's completely separate.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. But when you turn around and say, make a derogatory statement like we're sitting on our asses discussing angles, and usually the only ones out there doing anything, and you're really not doing anything but claiming science or not claiming science. Well, science doesn't prove anything. Who knows what they're claiming over there? Then I got issues.
Right. Well, they went out there and they demonstrated that. Was it again? That gases will be attracted by electrostatics by showing us pouring a liquid onto something.
Exactly.
Like that's their practical in the field contribution. Like, oh, thanks, man. This is helping so much.
Neil, would it help if I took away the chair and stood up and discussed angles?
You know what I'm saying, man. Just the way they said it, man. Who the hell are you? That was a lot of research you've done on that, correct?
I don't take it personally. I mean, look.
No, but I'm saying you did a lot of research on that. You read a lot of books. You spent a lot of money. Who the freak are they to say that?
No, it's okay. I did, and I enjoyed it. I got my pleasure out of it, and I'm happy. I don't care what anybody says.
Hey, Eli.
Hello. What up, Eli?
Eli.
Why you guys so quiet? What's going on? I just woke up.
I don't know that. I can't answer that. I've tried to inject as much passion as possible.
Okay, cool.
Eli, who just woke up, says we're quiet.
Well, I mean, when I'm coming in at 10:14, then y'all are like, "Hello." It's like, okay, nothing's going on.
I just stood up to prove angles. What are you talking about?
There's a certain subdued attitude at the moment, if I'm honest, Eli. And that subdued attitude is being exemplified, I think that's the right word, by me highlighting it. The problem that I've got with being called a scammer. And that's lowering the tone, lowering the mood, making everyone a bit on edge. So generally, people are walking on eggshells, I assume. That's my interpretation.
Oh, okay. Yeah. It sucks. You can be mean when annoyed. That's the best I can give. But at the same time, are we really talking about who's mean and who's not in a world full of fucking liars? Like, let's remember they're lying to our children. Like, it is that serious. The truth is that serious for some of us.
I think Brian's right. There's a lot of feelings going on.
Yeah, and hopefully tensions die down so that we can have conversation. And but for those like the anti-flat earthers who just refuse to allow the conversation to progress, or to allow things that aren't elucidated to become clear, you know that we just got to stop engaging them. Well, we don't have to stop doing anything, but we don't have to let them annoy us. Now, as far as the whole scammer thing, that being levied from someone on our side, I wish Jeranism, I wish he could say, all right, that was mad strong. I don't like you for certain things, but you're not a scammer, Nathan. Like, I wish he could just do that, like, because then shit would still be copacetic.
I still wondered what happened with that balloon he suddenly lost. Remember that?
I don't know, Eli. I don't feel that way. I don't follow Globusters or Jaren, so this was just another day at Flat Earth Debates for me, and an accusation that isn't true. We're not in Nathan's shoes. We're not trying to make a living from this channel. He is. So he's going to have different emotions, and he's shared them. And he went to Jaren directly and said, retracted. That's not right. I'm not a scammer. You know that. Jaren didn't do it. And the floodgates opened up yesterday, and they're still open today. And the contrast is what I'm looking at. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing when light shines on dishonesty and falsehood. And that's exactly what happened when Jaren opened up his mouth and uttered falsehood. So now the light is shining on the dishonest claims from Jaren. And this is, we're going to look back and say this was a good thing, even though we don't like it. And right now it's a bad thing. But sometimes it takes a bump in the road for the turn to go another route. And I think Nathan's going to gain a lot of subscribers. I think people are going to realize if they don't want any BS, they can trust this show and its content, because we argue all the times among ourselves to find a way to express our thoughts and ideas without making mistakes. And so, yeah, I think we're going to shine at the end, but we have to go through this because there are bigger channels around us with the same topic, and we're just navigating through, and people are finally finding out, wow, it's black and white over there. They shoot it straight. I could camp out there, and that's what's going to happen.
Wait, really? There's bigger channels with the same topic that do what we do?
No, not what we do. Not
Exactly.
what we do, but same topic.
Right, but that's kind of loosely, right? I mean, it's affiliated with Flat Earth, really.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
are
that's
they
my
talking
point.
about it constantly, or
No, that's my
view?
No, Arvin, I made it clear. That's my point. The same topic, but if you want to go and talk about this subject and other subjects, and you're one of these Flat Earth channels, God bless you, go do it. I mean, but don't attack the other ones.
No, I've got no issue with being attacked on anything that we discuss. So in terms of science doesn't prove things, right? No worries. You can postulate that. Just don't say I'm a scammer for claiming it. Because that's the bit you call it a bump in the road, but what I hear is, we're going to shine at the end of you being called a scammer. That's what I hear.
Yeah, that's right. I'm going to double down on that. I'm telling you, when they have to go to that length to try to win the argument when they've already lost it, I already know you won. Look,
I'm sorry I don't have your
here.
confidence. I'm sure my disdain will fizzle out over time.
Listen, Nathan, I came here because you took on Bob several years ago, and he fought you on the scientific method. You gained me because of Bob. What are we going to gain because of Jaren? It's coming.
Oh, I see. So you're equating you to everyone. No, I'm only joking.
Cool. So does that mean we're gonna get another 10th man? after
No,
this?
what I'm equating is the way the information was processed in my mind because I was listening to Globusters. They said there's these lads in the UK, they're pretty rough, but they have something called Flat Earth Debate. And I said, well, what's going on over there? I'll go check them out. And so then it was like, I was able to compare the two shows. I was able to compare that time where you went with humility and tried to talk to Bob about what an actual experiment is. I mean, it was so clear that all Bob had to do was say, yeah, you're right, I was wrong, but he didn't. So when he couldn't admit to the restraints of what a real experiment is, I said, wait a minute, if he's not willing to do that, then he's probably cut corners on other subjects on his show. I'm off that show. I'm going to go to this show. I'm talking about people who think that way will come to your show. I'm not saying everyone's going to come to your show, but if people are going to say, where am I going to look? I didn't come to your show to be a panel member. I just came to your show. I can't remember how I became a panel member. I think I tried to call in one day, and I was in a room with another
anyone with
guy.
integrity, anyone with integrity, yes, they hear that. They're going to do what 10th man did the time when you addressed Bob. Okay? Anybody with any integrity.
I still remember how 10th man came here. I think he was very much about like Christian legacy at the start, if I remember correctly. Isn't that so, 10th man? And then you kind of gradually roll into the sextant expertise.
No, I'm a Christian. I don't know what you mean by that. I'm a Christian all the way through. It's that had nothing to do with it. I like the arguments. I like the parameters that were set here. I'm into from then and still now to get scientism out of the pulpit. And I'm working on something with others to achieve that, which means we're going to take on Danny Faulkner. We're going to take on all these wonderful pastors who have bought into scientism. They don't even know it, but we're going to show it to them. And we're going to say, look, you believe in the Bible from Genesis to Revelation? Yeah, okay, good. Then why do you put scientism ahead of that? And we're going to stick it in their face, not in a bad way, but in a way where they have to say, you know what? Maybe I was duped. Maybe the seminary I went to or the people bought the lie without checking it and I just trusted it. I didn't know that they never proved these things. I thought these things were all proven. So maybe out of ignorance, they're giving credit to heliocentrism. But by the time we're done, hopefully, they'll see that it was a lie and they could say, you know what? This is what the Bible teaches and we're sticking with the Bible. That's my whole goal.
Making too much money. Danny Faulkner won't move.
I don't care about Danny Faulkner, Neil. I don't care about if he moves. I'm going to use him.
Isn't heliocentrism in general just amazing like that? Because it is a bluff. It's like a Ponzi scheme of bluffs that they know everything and they have some visuals and they have some interesting sounding stories. But then as soon as you really try to figure it out, it turns out that none of it actually is proven.
Correct. And
isn't that just amazing, really?
Well, it's the big lie, and it's infiltrated business, education system, churches. It's infiltrated everything because the mechanism at play is it's constantly in front of you, is constantly somehow being supported by images and fake pictures from James Webb, blah, blah, blah.
It's super suggestive.
Well, don't forget, Satan said, I will exalt myself above the heavens. I will be like the Most High. And we have the heliocentric model. That's something, boy.
I agree. I do think that, yeah, that because it is, everything about it is reversed, right? It's not just, oh, it's a globe in outer space. No, everything within it philosophically is all so reversed world. It's so anti-God, really, even though it's on the surface, it's not even that much. But when you dig into it, all the people that uphold it, that are sharing their globe knowledge, they all go there, right?
Like I was doing this type of contrasting long time before. Like I have Muslim friends, I have a Buddhist friend in the past, I had Indian friends into Hinduism, and it was interesting because I was the Christian in the group, and I'd say, do you believe everything that your books teach you? And they say, yes. And then I would go to their books and say, do you believe this? They said, well, no, I don't believe that. And so I would just show the inconsistencies. And it's the same thing here. Do you believe everything heliocentrism teaches you? Yes. Okay, well, let's go into it and vet it out a bit. Okay, now to the Christians, I say, hey, do you believe everything in the Bible between Genesis and Revelations? Yes, great. Let's go in there. Do you see the sphere Earth there? Do you see all this other stuff there? No. Okay, well, then what are you going to believe? At least I have more respect when someone believes whatever they believe 100% versus saying, well, I take this book out, or I'll excuse this chapter. Or, you can't do that. If you claim to be something, be something.
Right. Yeah. In the creation story, they never say, "Oh, and God placed all the suns of the galaxy, and only one was close to Earth." And no. It's a bunch of luminaries. I mean, it doesn't even say like the sun. And then the sun is a separate great. The great light is one great light, not millions, and one happens to be very close to us.
Yeah, it's worse than that. The sun, the moon, and the stars in the Genesis account were made on day 4. On day 2, the firmament, the enclosure was made. And when the sun, moon, and stars were made, the key words is they were put inside the firmament.
They were placed.
Oh, wow. That's
placed
over
after
right there.
the rest was made. Yep.
Yeah, it's...
Not very heliocentrism compatible.
None whatsoever.
Well,
no, this is why
heliocentrism.
Why?
Heliocentrism is kind of like it's like a buffet table, right? You just pick and choose whatever part of the story you want, right? I mean, that's what they give you. That you got to work with what you're given, right? Well, if you can't explain one thing like gravity, well, then you got something else to explain the thing that you can't explain. Or just create something else, dark matter. Now you can choose to believe that if you want, because they will tell you, well, they don't have proof for it. It's just a quote unquote theory, right?
Yeah.
So it's like a buffet table. You just take what you want, leave the rest.
Heliocentrism is like a giant buffet table, and it like made for a king. It looks amazing and really appealing. But as soon as you take a bite of anything that is on there, it tastes like complete shit. That's what it is.
The chocolate is the fondue presentation by the Coriolis section on that buffet table.
The cheesy part. Do you fondue?
I don't think anybody heard what you said. No one's responding.
Sorry, was that a question to me or what?
Yeah, say again, chocolate.
I've encountered this a lot with normies. They're the ones who typically, they don't really understand the model they're trying to defend. They don't really know what it is that they believe. So there are times I'll get that look when I'm telling them the parameters of the world that they believe they live in. And I'll get that look like, what you just said is crazy, bro. You know that, right? And I look at them right back and say, hey, what I said that was crazy, you believe, bro. Right? And then we have that back and forth. And then sometimes, like, with maybe a different aspect, I'll have somebody completely believe some nonsense that I just said because they already believe it and they accept that. So it's funny, and sometimes it'll be the same person. They'll accept one part of their story, and then they won't accept another part. So it's like, and I think I told them that day, like, dude, it's not a buffet table. This is the story they've given you. They didn't really. It's not like you remember those choose your own adventure books? It's not really that. They've already given you the end of the adventure. The end of the adventure is you live on a magical spinning water ball flying around in a vacuum. That's the end of the story. They've given that to you already. But they pick and choose which adventure that leads them to the end of that story. So that's why I call it a buffet table. It's kind of silly.
You guys ever kind of sell your virtual as well? I don't know how many times people say
Breaking up.
You got terrible connection. Got terrible connection.
they've
Says what?
Breaking up bad, brother.
Did anyone catch the gist of what he actually said?
Nah, I couldn't get any of it.
No, it was totally broken up.
I speak, robot. He said Jeranism is an idiot. I agree.
Got a bit of synergism you might like.
Is this any better?
Yes, considerably.
Mic check.
Yeah, that's better. That's better.
So, do you guys ever notice that there's virtual? I don't know. People say we have gone to space. We, the moon, and I mean, it's just you're a part of their fantasy and all of this, and no one's done any of it.
Okay, I think I got that. I think what he's trying to say is there's a stereotyping fallacy that's utilized that it employs the consensus reality that we have gone to the sky vacuum when they say that men have gone to the sky vacuum. I think that's the point he's making. Consensus reality that's leaned on, even though it isn't really consensus.
Part of the fantasy, like Chocolate was saying, they give you a buffet. They also make part of the fantasy. So everyone buys into that, and you feel like we on the moon, right? And yet no one knows. So people have adopted the fantasy as their own. This is our space. This is our reality. It's pretty powerful.
I hope Guild is not going to be like that with everybody.
I think I know what he's saying though. It's like the team mentality, right? They're giving you the team. Oh, if you're a Mets fan, oh, we won the World Series. Well, no, you didn't. You were at home watching it, but you still think it's we. It's a we thing. It's like a team, a squad. There are people that will not ever. There were people that will never believe that we did not go to the moon because they have that patriotic feeling of, oh, this is something we accomplished. NASA, America, we went to the moon, walked on the moon. So they can never not believe that because then that makes them, in their mind, unpatriotic. Of course, people want to talk to me. Hold on.
Funny that Chocolate's a team leader of this work.
Everything's still working. I lost everybody.
Can we have a mic check?
No, you're here. You're here.
Can we have a mic check from somebody else in Gilded? I really hope this is not like a default issue for it, at breaking up.
I am on a Bluetooth headset, so I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, that explains it because you're popping in and out. Adam, you were saying something.
Only to Neil. You know how he likes his synergistic things. I did notice yesterday, whilst you were going through Jaren's show. Just put it on screen. There you go. So whilst we were receiving all this criticism, I found it quite ironic. But what he was presenting was the Codex Gigas, which is historically referred to as the work of the devil. Just an aside, but interesting that was on screen.
Yep. You there, Nathan?
Sent you quiet, didn't it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
just
did.
very subdued today.
Yeah.
I heard you mention it earlier, and I'm probably with you. It's probably more shock. And the standard thing would be to fight in these situations, go out guns a blazing. But I just don't feel I'd say I'm more aghast as to what's gone off and the weaponry that's been used. Is it aghast, disappointed, shocked? I don't really know.
So the
emissary
emissary saying ceasefire?
I didn't say that. But it's an unusual situation because it's an unusual, very, very strange accusation. Which part of me is it's almost not worthy of a response. It's so. I hope the listeners can hear that. They can go and listen to the show and see what's been levelled at us. And I'd say to directly respond to it overly it just seems inappropriate. It might take a day or two amusing as to where we go from here, really, because I say it's fundamentally it was a straightforward disconnection notice from them, wasn't it? Really, we're prepared to go this low. Is that how scared we are of your argument? We're prepared to go this low. I genuinely didn't think, particularly Jaron, was that way inclined.
What is it, Adam, in psychology terms, when, well, let me leave that there. Let me just say what I'm thinking, and then maybe you can make the connection. What happened, the way I see it, is the argument they had fell apart under the scrutiny that we put to the ballers and to ourselves with each other. So we're used to it. And we just say, okay, I was wrong, or, oh, I didn't realize that part of it, but now, let me go back and look at it. We do that kind of stuff. The ballers just deny. For Jaron to come out and attack Nathan rather than prove the point was telling. So from a psychological point of view, he couldn't come and do any better than Whitsitt or Bob, so he decided to attack and call this whole show, Nathan, everyone here, scammers. Well, that didn't bode well for him because everyone saw that he no longer had when he did address it, what he thought was good enough, he contradicted himself. People heard Jaron say, there is no such my mind. Right then and there, he lost all credibility as a well-thinking person. What is that psychologically called, where you admit a defeat within a contradiction of your own statement, but call your opposer a scammer, the one who brought clarity to it?
I think that would fall under projection.
Why don't you sound like Adam?
No, you call it a scumbag.
Oh, you sound like Adam.
I think I'd probably go with Arwen. A lot of the things I heard there that were levelled would appear to be criticism of their viewpoint. So, and that's the one. It's just that scammer one. I just don't understand it. Because in doing that, then he sets up and establishes with the say projection is probably the best way, Owen. That's the only way around it I can say that, because I give him so much more credit and I've heard him talk so much more sense than that. So to make the statements that I heard yesterday, we are a bit of projection, particularly the most disgusting one. And when you look at what's going off, it does, if the hat fits, wear it, I suppose.
I don't see any other reason why he would go there other than to project it.
Well, it's like kids in the playground who lose and then retaliate by calling names. And everyone knows they lost, but they don't want to admit they lost. Scores
Right. So
5
then
to
they call you loser, loser.
Yeah, I mean, we just finished the baseball game, scores 5-0. You lost, but they don't want to admit it. So they start calling you names and the fight breaks out.
Because we're simply using the words in the descriptions of the things we're talking about, right? So if we're talking about photons or electrons or you know neutrons or whatever, it's like, well, why do we have to be called atomists because of that? But then when every time you guys want to bring up your device that you like, but you're not called atomists, because when I read about the Van de Graaff generator, when I read about this thing is a particle accelerator, did I go straight to, oh my God, they're atomists? No, right? Why would I do that?
1 second,
Right?
Chocolate.
Because I'm not, especially with them, I'm not trying to attack them.
Just 1 second. Sasha, someone's had to server mute you because we can hear your
Okay.
speakers. Sorry, Chocolate.
I mean, I'm kind of reiterating what the atoms thing, right? Like that whole being called a scammer, like that's crazy because that's the last thing we're trying to do here.
The atomistic,
you know,
stuff is something that I think we were all happy to go through. We didn't agree with it. It was a bit uninformed and a bit straw money, but it was something I'm happy to go with and point out why I disagreed with it, because it was within the topic. Yeah, you might be, like I say, straw manning me a bit to paint your position, but it was an acceptable thing to go through, even if it was a little galling. It's not my position, but fair enough. But it was on topic. This isn't. Sorry, Nathan. You
No.
No, sorry,
that was just feedback, Adam. You may continue.
Thank you, sir. But this, like I say, it's an interesting one to deal with. I've got no real desire to deal with it other than just to express my disgust at it, really, and disappointment in somebody, like I said, who I did hold in high regard still.
Disappointment's over.
Let me ask you.
Over it, Neil. You know what I mean? I don't need a bunch of flowers or out, but I was just referring to maybe why it's a little lower in energy. It's more reflection than I think.
Adam, can I ask you a question? When they say we're atomists, are they is that kind of a backhanded way of saying we believe in reality and physical world, and we don't believe in the spiritual world?
I don't know. I think we tried to address the straw manning that came with that title.
I think we addressed it.
But can we get a clear summary? Because if I say I believe in physicality, am I an atomist?
It's on my channel. I went over it in depth. You want to go over it again?
That's up to
No,
you if you
breakfast
want
just
to.
came, but but I would like a summary.
I can't give a summary. It's got to be all or nothing.
Well, the full 3 hours again.
No. Hold up. Gotta find it. Just woke up, for goodness sakes. Go ahead, smoke them if you got them. I'll let you know.
Open.
That's a military
I just want to
saying.
let you know, Nathan.
Hey,
Just want to let you know. Hold
Flat
on.
Earther
Hold on.
just got in here.
Relax. Relax. Just want to let you know, Nathan, that there was feedback while I was on mute ×2. That means locally and in the show. Just want to let you know that.
Isn't it a competition? Who can blame who for the most feedback caused unintentionally?
Hello, Flat Earther.
I
How
didn't
you
even
doing?
say hello to you, Flat Arthur. I'm so sorry.
Hey, hi, hello everyone.
Good to have you.
Same here. I've been listening to all the shows lately.
You don't want to be here, Arthur. You don't want to come in this room. You know what this makes you? Makes you a scammer, mate, by being in part of this panel.
Unless he disagrees with us.
Does
If it's a
disagreeing
question
with
of
somebody? Sorry, Arthur. Go ahead.
it's a question of choosing sides, I think you already know which side I'm on. I may have given the impression to QE that I am in support of Witsit or something, but I hope he understands that's not the case. Although in this whole atmosphere of hatred and bitching about one another, I would like to spread some love. So more love to Witsit also, more love to Jeranism also. But I would like to state that I do not agree with their stance. If you look at it from a third person's point of view, it is very clear that their stance is somewhat invalid or it doesn't hold water.
Did you
If
see
you
this?
ask me.
Hopefully I can do something to ease tensions, as I will be meeting our good friend today.
Who's our good friend?
Offer me a massage.
Now everyone wants to talk.
No, it's not free. It's just $200, Adam. But go ahead, Arthur. Sorry.
Oh, that was me. Flat Arthur, did you check out the Ballbusters special edition by chance?
Yes, I did. The only other flat earther that you shouted at, except with Sid, was Flat Earther. How can I miss it?
I can't hear you because you got a Elijah mic.
That's hilarious. That's how it sounds. Ew.
It was the particular part. It was near the end of the presentation. Something concerning consciousness and the creator. Did you listen to that part?
Yes, I did. And I was saying that the only other flat earther that you shouted at during that presentation was Flat Earther, except with Sid. So I did pay attention, yes. But I would like to clarify, if you allow me. My intention is
Now we're on to something else.
Uh-huh. Okay.
That's all I heard from you. I didn't hear the rest. What was the stuff that he said before? Anyone want to translate? I can't hear him.
Give me 2 minutes, and my audio will be clear. Give me 2 minutes.
Okay. All right. So 10th, you asked that question. Do we want to go over this?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead and summarize.
No, I can't. I told you I can't summarize. I'm just going to go directly to it. So, Shit's at 60. He says this. The actual argument is we have only two potentially viable frameworks that have been offered for interpretation. Atomism, which is materialism, and the ether, immaterialism. Now, notice in his first statement, we have only two viable, and then he quickly says potentially viable. That's a problem. Because You can't have two viable or potentially viable. You can't have potentially pregnant. It's either viable or it's not. But I digress. The first shot across the bow, interpretation of what? Pray tell. That I would really like an answer to that question. And this is an ipse dixit fallacy. That's he himself said. You know, when somebody just declares something, that's ipse dixit. That's a fallacy. And there's two: ether and that it's immaterial, resulting in an overall false dichotomy fallacy. I'll get to that below. Who offered this false dichotomy fallacy? Another question. How about if I, ipse dixit, offered two frameworks: atomism, materialism, and Ducal Slopogert's immaterialism? How about that? Because I offered it for our interpretation. Wow. And then I said, did you know if the premise or foundation of your argument is fallacious, it immediately renders your entire argument, i.e. everything that follows it, void? See, when we're talking about people's ideologies, are your offerings mutually exclusive? They would have to be if you put them out there, right? So can someone acknowledge that the material world exists? That's a well duh, by the way. Yet still know with absolute certainty that the immaterial or supernatural exists? Of course, the argument ends right there, right? Well, it ended way up top with potentially viable. So here's another one. You like this. So he's couching this whole thing as, you know, the ether believers are immaterialists, excuse me, and we're materialists, right? So I asked him, shit's at 60. What are you made of? Material or immaterial? What did you sleep on last night? Material or immaterial? What did you stand on when you got up? Material or immaterial? What did you put on? You know, like clothes when you rolled out of bed? Material or immaterial? When you use the bathroom or the toilet, toilet paper, toothbrush, toothpaste, sink, faucet, and water, are they material or immaterial? Is the food you prepared and ate for breakfast material or ether? Shits it. How about the toaster? All right. Is that good? I could stop right there. There's more to it. You know, I like to be thorough. Yeah.
Good. Yeah, that was a good summary.
And 10th, you remember that day, that very day of the debate when Nathan debated with Sid? I was there, you were there, Adam and Elijah, all of us. Right after the debate, we were discussing how Whitsitt accuses the other side of being what? Materialist, but actually, when scrutinized upon his arguments and points, it turns out that he's the one who is actually claiming to be a materialist. Adam and 10th, we were there discussing that very day later on.
Anybody going to back that?
I'm sorry.
That's all right. Arthur, you're saying he's a materialist, and at the end of his claims and, you know, falsely accusing us of something, you're saying he actually turns out to be a materialist by his own examples. You just didn't give an example.
This QE, can you cite that Tesla quote where we're describing the electron as he takes posthumous credit for recognizing the new electron theory, but he did say that it was him sort of 30 years earlier that had described the electron as a discrete unit of non-divisible matter?
Sure. So from Nikola Tesla, somewhere around 17 May, on or about 17 May in the year of our Lord, 1931. Before the electron theory was advanced, I had established that radioactive rays consisted of particles of primary matter, not further decomposable. Sounds like he's into quantum mechanics to me. You?
Yeah. And that's part of the trouble is, so whose argument are you addressing? Because that, as far as I'm aware, would be denied by our fellow flat earth Ethereans. They deny the existence of the electron. And as you're saying, they're denying the existence really of materiality.
Can you post that quote? Because I remember Whitsitt saying he's on board with Nikola Tesla. 100%.
Hold on. This is a bit unreasonable, isn't it? He might cite bits of Nikola Tesla's work, But just because he cites specific parts doesn't mean we can't say, well, because Nikola Tesla says this here, you can cite it on your own side as part of your own argument that what he's claiming Nikola Tesla uses particles. That's fair enough. But you can't just sort of slap him with everything Nikola Tesla says he agrees with, because I'm sure he'd disagree with that.
No, he said Nathan.
This is
No, he said he agrees. Sorry.
Did somebody do that?
He said on your show he's 100% Nikola Tesla.
That's what Tent's inferring, yes, QE.
I'm not directly putting words in anybody's mouth. I'm trying to point out it's very difficult to know what argument you're addressing when you get the contradictions from gurus like Tesla, which, in the case of an electron, is contradictory to what they're claiming. They claim electrons don't even exist. Never mind our discrete parts of matter. So if you've got somebody that's at the core of their beliefs, I'm not saying they follow him, but certainly a lot of his stuff is fundamental. This direct opposition over this point is confusing. So we don't take that part of Tesla's work, which is basically the fundamentals of electrics. So we're going to bin all that bit. What do we replace that with then? That would be my point, is to try and understand their argument.
Right. It's just not actually proven. This is all about the framework of the knowledge and the tests and the things they found. An attempt to find cohesion in it. And it's logical that would happen. It's just that the really wise scientists that took science and the scientific method very serious did not end up claiming science for ether. They would talk about it, but they wouldn't do that. They wouldn't make it like this is real.
Notice his lack of science acumen. Nick, I can do this because he's a homeboy. He's from Yugoslavia, so I can do this. I'm good. So he says, before the electron theory was advanced. Electron theory? What the hell is that? Then he says, listen to this. I had established that radioactive rays consisted of. That's existence. That's a what is question. Like Nikolai had a below third grade science acumen. Doesn't it? I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Or maybe just had a bit of a gamma impulse and just really didn't like atomists. And that would have been like much more in the forefront of the attention in the physics community. So maybe just really hated them.
Now listen to what his next line is. He doesn't hate atomists. He is an atomist. Listen. Read it, kid.
Before the electron theory was advanced, I had established that radioactive rays consisted of particles of primary matter not further decomposable. You want me to continue?
That's him saying he's an atomist.
What's another word for that?
Quanta.
Quanta. Right. Discrete. He's saying not decomposable any further. Yeah, that's the same as discrete chunks, aka quanta. Yep. Any further comment? With that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both Discord and G+ panels for making today's after show possible. And of course, a massive thank you to all of you in either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley Premiering streams, hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member, hitting the thanks button and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley and I will see you all in the next video.